Hello and welcome back to Planet Nibiru. As most of you guys know, I am a developer, coder, computer programmer, multimedia developer for my day job, and this obviously is just a hobby for me. So I was reading in one of the sites that I usually check out, it's recode.net. It's kind of a site for techies and stuff, and I ran across an article there that is referencing the big Silicon Valley billionaires are actually joining in the prepping movement. Now, I remember up until recently, folks who were preppers were kind of ostracized amongst normal folk, and we were said to be, folks who were just, crazy and, too worried and paranoid and things like that. But if some Silicon Valley billionaire does it, then, well, they're just being prudent. So I think it's funny how if you're just a normal person and you do something, then you're an idiot, and if you're some kind of billionaire, then all of a sudden you're a genius for thinking ahead. It's just funny how society looks at people differently because of the amount of money they have in their bank account. Like that makes you smarter or something. But anyway. On to this article, it says that Silicon Valley billionaires are prepping to survive in underground bunkers. Now, some of the prepper movement are afraid that AI will lead to a revolt against the wealthy. And I think that sentence right there is completely disingenuous. I think that they're using this AI thing as a front so that they can prep for actual events that may happen. And of course I'm talking about Planet X or Planet Nibiru coming through, the system of Nibiru coming through and just pretty much raining havoc throughout our solar system. When this thing comes by and makes its turn around the sun and heads back out into its deep space orbit, it is going to leave a pile of trash in its wake, and that's what it does. It carries a bunch of trash behind it. Small planets, asteroids, and things like that fall into the gravitational pull of Planet X and the planetoids and planets that are part of that system. Now, many people will say, well, Planet X is just a single planet. Other people will tell you, oh, it's a system of planets. Personally, I tend to believe it's more than one planet, even if it is one giant planet that's larger than Jupiter. Let's not forget that Jupiter has 67 moons. That is 67 individual planetoids that orbit the planet of Jupiter. So if this planet, Planet X, was actually as big or bigger than Jupiter, then yeah, it would have at least the same amount or a similar amount of planetoids or planets or mini planets, whatever you want to call them, moons to its orbital path, and then get sucked into its gravitational pull. It's going to drag those around behind it, just like Jupiter is dragging around 67 moons on its path through space. Whatever this Nibiru, whether it's a group of planets or whether it is one giant planet, it's going to have a lot of trash and other objects that we can call either moons or planets or planetoids. It's going to have other smaller things behind it that it's dragging through. So it comes through our solar system, it is going to just raise heck. It is going to cause all manner of problems. And anybody on the surface of these planets are going to be very much at risk. Now, just because you have an underground bunker doesn't mean that you will not be at risk, because if it comes close enough, there will be massive volcanism and massive earthquakes or seismic events that could trap you in this bunker, and it will be, in effect, a little coffin, or a very large and nice coffin if you happen to be one of these Silicon Valley billionaires, because their underground bunkers are actually very, very nice. But it will just end up being a very nice, expensive coffin, which, you have to say, I mean, if you're gonna go anyway, if you're gonna either die on the surface or die underground in comfort, which one's really better. Personally, I'd rather die on the surface because at least I have freedom to move about and not, just be stuck in one place, as to where if you're locked down in the bunker, yeah, you're safe from anything coming in, like small asteroids and, space rocks and things like that that'll be raining down in a Sodom and Gomorrah-like fashion. If our what we know about, or what we think we know about Planet X is correct, and it is dragging all this trash behind it. This would be millions and millions and millions of little basketball-sized to maybe a small car-sized asteroids that are coming behind it. That they're not big enough to actually qualify as a planetoid or something like that, but they are rather large pieces of rock that will be burning in through our atmosphere. And even if they don't make contact with the planet, look at what the Chelyabinsk asteroid did when it airbursted over Russia a few years back. There were over 1,500 people hurt. It blew out windows, it blew out doors, it rained down destruction over a 1,500 square mile area, and this was one rock that came in and airbursted. Imagine thousands. Now imagine hundreds of thousands. Now imagine millions. It would literally be hell on earth, and the folks who do have access to underground bunkers and shelters would definitely be using them now. Personally, even if I had one, I'd try and stay near the door and on the surface as long as I could, and then if it came to the point where things were raining down and there was no seismic events, then go down. But I would be very, very wary of seismic events, because once you're down there, you're kind of stuck. And if the earth shifts, or the rock, the crustal rock shifts, it could close off your shafts that lead to your entrance and exits, and then you're basically stuck down there. And even if you have enough food and water for years, you're still going to end up dying down there when the food and water runs out. Not to mention you have to have air shafts, so that would not be a very nice death. But it says here that one of the more peculiar hobbies that are popular among Silicon Valley elite is an obsession with preparing to survive end times. Its adherents are commonly called preppers. It's the topic of an essay in the New Yorker this week, which is Survival of the Richest, by Evan Osnos, and also delves into why tech billionaires are particularly attracted to the idea. Well, I think that they're attracted to the idea because we know that something's up. We can clearly see that the Earth has tilted. Things are not right in the sky. We know that the weather patterns are off and they're not right. There's so many things going on right now that if you don't know that something's wrong, then you really need to ask yourself, really, who are you listening to here? I mean, are the people who are out there telling you the truth are the ones who are listed as, paranoids and, crazy people, and, but, that's the only place you're going to get the truth from, and the truth is that something is wrong. This whole global warming thing, climate change, the climate is changing, but the climate is always changing, and it will always change. We're never going to have a stable climate where it just stays the same forever. Climate changes all the time, so climate change is not man-made. Global warming is not man-made. That is the biggest lie of Al Gore and his ilk, to make money off of something that is a natural phenomenon that occurs on our planet. And again, I'll refer you back to Apocalypto. You can see it on this channel, and just watch the movie. Watch how they take advantage of a natural occurring event in nature, and they lead people to believe that it is a supernatural event, and that they have the power to talk with the gods and make peace with the gods for the people of the earth. It's just a way for them to hold on to power and to get into power. But anyway, we come in here and we can just look at the people who are getting involved in this type of thing. Reid Hoffman, co-founder of LinkedIn, says the prepper movement among tech-made billionaires is largely inspired by fear that AI will one day displace so many jobs that there will be a revolt against those behind the technology. That makes sense in a way, but it's doesn't make sense in a way, in another way, because yeah, AI will definitely change a lot of things, but you have to understand that I think with AI, humans will be enhanced with this AI as soon as that is available. And as AI comes up with ideas, humans will be needed to build some of these ideas. There will be jobs around maintaining the devices that will be built by AI. Even if AI figures out how to build starships and things like that, humans will man those starships. So I don't think that robots or AI is going to put us all out of work. And if it did put us all out of work, do you think that that would stop plants from growing? No. There's still plenty of food on this planet. We could still farm our own meat. We could still grow our own crops. And I hope AI does take over all the work. God, please let it be. I don't know about you guys, but I'm tired of going to work. I would love to not work again. So, and it doesn't mean that humans can't live on this planet without work. That's ridiculous. We only work so that we can find new things and discover new things. And if AI was out there doing it for us, then wonderful. That leaves us more time to explore each other and to better get to know each other and to focus on interhuman relations. I just don't see AI as a bad thing, however, and I don't think that these people do either. I think they're much smarter than that. I think that they realize that, AI could possibly have that effect, and they might be able to spin it like it has that effect, but I think that what they're really worried about is the things that are much more likely to happen, which is, whether it's a event that is caused by Planet X, or whether it's a natural event where, let's say, the planet is warming and the ice caps do melt and the seas do rise, and we have a massive change in weather, and it ends up killing a lot of people and things like that. All of these things, any cataclysm, would lead to a time or a point in time where you would need to have a bunker or to have made preparations, which is what prepping is, for this point in time. Now, let's say there's a CME, a massive CME, coronal mass ejection, or an X flare that is burst out from the sun, and it hits the Earth, and it blows away all of our transformers, and blows away all of our computer systems, and it fries all our cars, and we just can't produce electricity for a while, and if we do, we can't produce it on a large scale, so only a few people have it. People who know how to build small generators and things like that, or people who have those generators put in place and have them shielded from a coronal mass ejection, or have them shielded from damaging electrical currents or surges. And of course we know that that is done with like a Faraday cage or something like that. And if you don't know what a Faraday cage is, just look into it. Basically it's a way of insulating whatever's inside of it from outside electrical interference, and that's all it is. And they're easy to build, and if you had one, you could build one in your garage and store your generators and things in there, and they would be perfectly fine. If we did have a, let's say, a coronal mass ejection or an X-flare, or even let's say there was a nuclear weapon that was airburst over the United States or any other country for that matter, and it did cause an EMP, which is an electromagnetic pulse, and that blew out all of the electronics within the surrounding areas. Even if that did happen, you could shield your electronics in a Faraday cage. So there are people, and believe me, these people in these bunkers, they have Faraday cages built into them if the whole thing is not a giant Faraday cage, and is totally safe from EMPs and X-flares and coronal mass ejections and things like that. So I believe that the bunkers built by folks like Steve Huffman, Peter Thiel, and Reid Hoffman, and the rest of these folks who are mentioned in this article, who are tech billionaires, and we don't know that maybe Mark Cuban, maybe Mark Zuckerberg, and those guys, they all probably have them too. And believe me, the first thing that they would want is to make sure that the insides of their tech hideaway was shielded with a Faraday cage so that they would have the technology down there in their little bunker. So the article goes on to say, the instinct to run, hide, and survive is always one approach to a future that you may see social order tumble into chaos as a result of extreme inequity. Now, I don't think that extreme inequity is the only thing that could cause chaos in the world. I think that it is one thing. Covered a little bit of the survival stuff on this channel, and I do want to take this quick moment to give a shout out to one of my subscribers who I've recently been discussing some survival stuff with. Janine, hey, how you doing? We were recently talking about some different survival channels that I think are very awesome. So I definitely would say, if you guys are not into prepping now, if you I have a hard time believing that anybody would believe in Planet X or would believe in Nibiru and not prep. If you believe that this thing is out there, you need to be prepping, especially if you believe. There's folks that I know who prep and they don't believe in any of this stuff. They just like being prepared for things, which is great. I mean, we all should be doing that. We should take a page from their book and do that. However, if you do believe in these things that could cause cataclysm on Earth, then you really need to be preparing. And there's a lot of great channels out there. Dave Canterbury, if you guys would probably know him best from the Dual Survival series, he has a wonderful channel. Actually has a couple great channels. He has a Wilderness Survival School channel that he teaches on. He also has Dave Canterbury, I think it's Dave Canterbury Excursions or something like that, but he teaches just a whole bunch of great woodsman skills and bushcraft skills. There's also a channel called Primitive Technology. It's totally awesome. Love that channel. And there's a ton of them that I could go on and on about. But Survival Lily, I think is great. There's a channel called Wrangler Star, and I absolutely love that guy. Him and his wife, they're just super wonderful, nice people, and they decided to homestead. They were, I believe his wife was in accounting or something, and he had a job in the city, and they were both city dwellers. They decided to move out to the country and to homestead, and they did it. They have a really nice homestead now. They have animals, they have, they grow food, they have a wonderful home that they built, a wonderful shop, and he is a very, very, very he's a wealth of knowledge when it comes to not only homesteading, but building tools and using tools, keeping your tools in top working order, and just everything that you could think of when it comes to working with wood. Their lifestyle is just very, very interesting. It's a great channel to follow. It's a great channel to watch. If you're not spending time learning these skills, you should be. And that's pretty much all I'm going to say on that. And with that, I'm going to end this video, because I do have another Mandela Effect video I'm going to jump on and start, and that should be out in the next couple days. But I just wanted to share this with you guys, because I don't think that we talk enough on this channel. We talk about Planet X, we talk about Nibiru, but we don't talk about what to do to prepare for it and to make it through it. So that's one of the things I think I'm going to try and change in 2017. I hope you guys are having a great week, and we do have some more Planet X information coming out this week, but I do want to get to that next Mandela Effect video because I did find a ton of good stuff. So be on the lookout for that, and we will be talking to you guys soon. I think that they're using this AI thing as a front so that they can prep for actual events that may happen. And of course, I'm talking about Planet X or Planet Nibiru coming through, the system of Nibiru coming through, and just pretty much raining havoc throughout our solar system. When this thing comes by and makes its turn around the sun and heads back, I remember up until recently, folks who were preppers were kind of ostracized amongst normal folk, and we were said to be, folks who were just, crazy and, too worried and paranoid and things like that. But if some Silicon Valley billionaire does it, then, well, they're just being prudent. So I think it's funny how if you're just a normal person and you do something, then you're an idiot. Hello and welcome back to Planet Nibiru. As most of you guys know, I am a developer, coder, computer programmer, multimedia developer for my day job, and this obviously is just a hobby for me. So I was reading in one of the sites that I usually check out, it's recode.net. It's kind of a site for techies and stuff, and I ran across an article there that is referencing the big Silicon Valley billionaires are actually joining in the prepping movement. Now, I remember and if you're, some kind of billionaire, then all of a sudden you're a genius for thinking ahead. It's just funny how society looks at people differently because of the amount of money they have in their bank account, like that makes you smarter or something. But anyway, on to this article. It says that Silicon Valley billionaires are prepping to survive in underground bunkers. Now, some of the prepper movement are afraid that AI will lead to a revolt against the wealthy. And I think that sentence right there is completely disingenuous.